Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. There's a little known fact in the XRP community. We have a major actor that's been active in the XRP community for years. He's become a friend of mine, and he comes to XRP Las Vegas. You'd never know it, but there is one. And guess what? He's in this new movie coming out every Thanksgiving. I go out and take my sons to watch a movie. I don't go to the movies often, but every Thanksgiving or Christmas, a lot of times I'll take them to the movie. And by the way, I never go to the movie. This is a rule. I don't care if I'm on a diet or whatever. I never, ever go to a movie without having butter popcorn and a Coke. That's just a rule I won't break. I love butter popcorn, which is ironic because there's a popcorn emoji that comes out around crypto all the time. But anyway, this movie is called Sarah's Oil. Remarkable true story of an 11-year-old Sarah Rector, an African-American girl born in Oklahoma, Indian Territory in the early 1900s, who believes there's oil beneath the barren land she's allotted and whose faith is proven right. Thinking about taking the boys to see this one this week or over Christmas one. So if you're one of those people that likes to go to the movies over the holidays, this is a great one to go check out. And we have an XRP community member who is an actor and is in the movie, like a major actor. Look at this from Zach Rector. Really pleased the response time of my broker at Caleb & Brown. I emailed them on Sunday, and they literally responded in 1 minute. Incredible service. This has been my experience too. I literally, I'm almost giddy doing it because it's so cool. I send them an email when I want to buy XRP, and I say, hey, you know that cash that's sitting in my account? One time, like recently, I said, buy XRP with half of it and then send the other half into my bank account. And I had the same experience. It was like 1 to 5 minutes and it's done. I'm getting an email with a PDF showing my trade and a breakdown of all of it. It is awesome, which is why they're my partner. You can open an account with Caleb & Brown at xrpwealth589.com. It'll forward you to my page right here on Caleb & Brown, and you just click sign up today. You'll love it like I did. We've got a 207 XRP, and today's the day. Let me hit the refresh button and see if XP market is reflecting the price on these two ETFs that went live. We had Grayscale and Franklin Templeton go live this morning, but they're not showing the numbers yet. But never fear. And by the way, you can go to this website. It's been crashing too because there's so many people hitting it. xpmarket.com/ETF. But Chad Steingraber, who's been all over these ETFs, has got it right here. First 30 minutes, 4 XRP ETFs live. Canary's got 113,000 volume. Bitwise, 128,000. Grayscale, 12,000. Franklin Templeton, 39,000. Here's the dollar figures. Expect this to really pick up. This is just the first 30 minutes. Here's Anthony Pompliano. They bring him anytime there's a crisis with Bitcoin. CNBC does its job and has him on right away, first thing Monday morning.
You know, I heard something pretty interesting. Matt Siegel over at Van Eck said, well, Bitcoin's, in terms of Bitcoin's volatility, has been cut in half over the last year or two. And so if that's the case, if we're used to 80% drawdowns, maybe now the drawdowns are about 40%, right? You would expect that if the volatility has been cut in half. Well, we just saw a 36, 37% drawdown. And so I do think that as volatility compresses, people will be disappointed to the upside because it's not going to have these blow off tops that they expected. But also there may be some, safety in terms of these 80% drawdowns are gone as well. And so I tend to think that we probably are somewhere around the bottoming. Again, if you see the fear and greed index at, I think it was 8 for Bitcoin, 6 in equities, that tells me that you can't stay there that long. And so I think that we might just go sideways for a while here and then start to kind of grind back up over the next couple of weeks.
Anthony, one of the big questions has always been how much leverage there is in the Bitcoin universe and whether there gets to be a point, and I don't know what the inflection point is, where there are enough margin calls that it effectively becomes this sort of self-fulfilling prophecy on the downside. Where do you stand on that? I mean, obviously, we talked to Michael Saylor just about a week and a half ago. He obviously represents a huge part of the market, too. Also, there's a number of ETFs now that represent a big part of the market. So how do you see that piece of it?
Yeah, well, there's a lot more leverage in the system on October 8th and 9th, right before the big liquidation. And so I think that, again, part of that healthy reset is that we went from higher degrees of open interest and leverage to today something that is much more normal. And I think that, again, that fear and greed index is a great signal as to how bullish people are. And, there's always the quote of you want to buy when there's blood in the streets. I don't think I've ever seen the equity fear and greed index at 6. The Bitcoin one going to 8 is very, very rare. And so I think that you're not going to see high degrees of leverage whenever you get that fear. And so that gives me, great confidence that we're probably not that far from having bottomed.
I don't disagree with him there. I think this thing is primed to take off, and here's part of the reason why.
Rather than tokenizing the completed asset. So talk to me about the main driver behind this project.
I think we're going to see a world in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, when you look back, where pretty much every asset class is tokenized in some way, shape, or form. If Taylor Swift comes out with a new album, why is she going out to Paramount Records or one of these big, record label houses? Why doesn't she just go out to Swiftie fans who would invest in her, who would invest in her project, who would want to be partners in that project? And why can't that be tokenized? Why can't some girl who absolutely loves Taylor Swift invest $200 of her money or $500 of her money and buy part of a tokenized album that can live forever, that can throw off possible cash flow, etc. You're going to have the arts that are tokenized. You're going to have music that's tokenized. You're going to have Hollywood that's tokenized. You're going to have real estate that's tokenized. So I really announced this on 2 projects. One, Trump International Hotel Tower, Dubai, which we're building right in the middle of the city. It's going to be one of the most spectacular buildings anywhere in the world. A project that we're doing in the Maldives, also in hospitality. That's what I do every. But I mean, why not give somebody the ability to have some level of ownership? Why is it that I should only be going out to Deutsche Bank? Or why is it that I should only be going out to, JP Morgan Chase in order to be, a Wells Fargo, or you name the lender out there to actually get end loan financing? If people believe in us, if people believe in our brand, if people believe in any project, why can't they invest? Why not give people the freedom of being able to, invest or be a part of in some way, shape, or form? Projects that are aspirational to them, projects that they otherwise believe in. Why is that only reserved for the select few? And that's what tokenization is going to do. Tokenization is going to massively broaden the market. Without being able to do that, they wouldn't have had the financial capacity, but now they can. Now they can own a piece of whatever they believe is beautiful, whatever they believe has value. That's what tokenization is.
We are entering a fascinating world, folks. We're going to have all kinds of opportunities. Now, here's an opportunity. There's 2 things that are coming. Forget all the good crypto things that are coming. These 2 things by themselves will set this market off. Here's one.
We've gotten no public data, or very little public data, but most of the private sector and anecdotal data that we've gotten has said nothing's really changed. The labor market's soft. It's continuing to weaken. Inflation didn't turn out to be quite as bad as we got when we got the CPI report, when we look forward. So in that sense, for me, I don't think inflation is a big problem going forward. It's going to start pulling back. But the labor market is still weak and we're getting no evidence telling me it's rebounding, despite what the jobs report for September said. So my concern is mainly the labor market in terms of our dual mandate. So I'm advocating for a rate cut at the next meeting.
What about January?
They're about to do another rate cut, and then they're going to do more in 2026. And then you have this.
Look, the tariffs are an American policy. The president wants the American people to understand how great tariffs are for them. And so one of the ways to prove to the American people how great tariffs are is to have them share in a part of 1 year's income from these tariffs. And that's $2,000 a head, as he said, for people who need the money. He's going to constrain it to people who need the money. And that's exciting. So the president's got that on his desk. I know that's something he wants to achieve, and his legislative team will figure out the best way to do it. But what he's trying to do is make sure people in America understand that tariffs are their policy. It's to make America stronger, and it could also benefit their pocketbook. And that is coming next year from the president.
A lot of those $2,000 checks are going to go right into crypto. Write it down. Look at this from XRP Crypto. Will XRP dethroned Bitcoin to take the #1 spot on South Korea's largest exchange? This would be U.S. foreshadowing, folks. Here's Chad Steingraber. I should have put this earlier. His day one projection for Grayscale. Grayscale Trust starts to fund initial private placement of just 11.6 million with the name brand. He's projecting 45 to 50 million in share volume. Approximately 25 million XRP day one is what he's projecting. Now, this is what I tried to show you in the last video. This is Franklin Templeton, CEO.
Look, dollar dominance, that I always come back and say, well, where else are you going to go, right? So start with that. And, you know, if you think about the reserve currency, you're looking for stability, you're looking for strong economies, you're looking for a trust. You have to have a free-floating currency, capital, you know, you can't have a lot of capital controls. So I don't think there's a question about the dollar dominance. I think there's a question about how much it gets chipped away, right? And you definitely see that. And you see that, and honestly, I actually think there's a lot of discussion about how tariffs and can you trust the U.S. has impacted it. But I actually go back to, in talking to some central banks, you know, when Russia invaded the Ukraine and the U.S. froze assets of Russia in U.S. dollar, there was this, oh, this could be us. And so I actually think it started a little bit there where people said, okay, we need to start to diversify this a bit. And then you've obviously had the comments on, you know, how can we trust the U.S. in how they behave in certain ways, and you see it, right? You see, like when when Russia was taken away from SWIFT, you now see contracts being done. India's buying oil from Russia in rupee, you know, denominated invoicing. China and Russia are operating in the yuan. So that's the chipping away component. You still have the dollar down.
Okay, now I'm going to show you this and then we'll go into the group, because I don't like to talk about a lot of this stuff because it involves the island guy and all that and who's getting prosecuted and all those things. But we're going to go into a lot more of it in the group. Just in, $4.6 trillion. JP Morgan just received, $4.6 trillion JP Morgan just revealed they sold 772,453 master strategy shares. This is heating up, folks. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about two people I never talk about out here because I think it's dangerous. Go to DAIXRP.com. That's the Patreon. If you'd rather join through YouTube, click join below any of these videos. If you'd rather join through X, hit subscribe. We do the full video plus the extended video with no commercials. And we talk about things I'm not willing to talk about out here for a lot of reasons. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. Here we go.